Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Wave 31 Storm Tracker Chief Meteorologist Jeff Castle. We're back to just doing some streaming updates right now. Tornado warnings are in effect for Franklin County, southern Middle Tennessee. That's just outside of our coverage area. I think the one warning goes until 4:30. The other one goes until 4:45, at least at the moment. The reason these are issued, there's brief little spin-ups. We see a brief signature of an increase in spin along these lines of storms, but I'll emphasize they're brief. So if a tornado is going to be produced, it's going to happen right as that spin increases. Tornado is going to happen, and then the threat's likely going to go away. But again, if you're here, Franklin County, Tennessee, and this is just outside of our television coverage area, but we're still going to be tracking this storm here, southern Middle Tennessee, for the folks up in that direction that maybe tune in to us for weather coverage. Still need to be in your tornado safe place. I'm not seeing anything here along the line that's particularly alarming. Maybe a little east of Estill Springs, slightly enhanced area of circulation showing up there. But again, that's well north of our coverage area. The bigger picture here showing you a stout line of storms coming on through. And the main threat out of this is going to be the potential for some strong wind gusts, maybe 60, 70 miles per hour coming in across Franklin County here, southern Middle Tennessee, and then now also coming into northern parts Jackson County in northeast Alabama. Our line does extend back towards the southwest, northern Madison County, some rain moving into the north into Huntsville right now. This is not severe. Rain and storms extend back towards Athens, a little bit more active with lightning back in that direction. And then our storms are tracking through Decatur down to Hartselle right now. But again, this part of the line through Madison County, Limestone, Morgan County, not severe, not organized to the point that there is a severe weather threat right now. It's really the northern extent of this line, starting in Jackson County, going into Franklin County in southern Middle Tennessee, where again there is going to be that possibility for some severe weather, mainly going to be in the form of some strong wind gusts that could be on the order of 60, maybe 70 miles per hour. Not really seeing any hail signatures out of this. There might be some smaller hail, maybe dime-sized or below, but we're not likely to support that larger hail threat coming on through. Let's see, they have trimmed, what's the Weather Service saying? The main tornado threat is for brief spin-ups. They don't have any confirmed tornadoes, low chance. You know, even the Weather Service, even though they're issuing these tornado warnings, are not particularly aggressive in their wording. So again, they're kind of seeing what we're seeing, that these would be quick little spin-ups that may develop. Technically, far northern Jackson County, you are included in the tornado warning, but again, the more organized part of the line starts at the state line and goes northward. So any sort of spin-ups at this point look like they would stay there into southern Middle Tennessee. Again, that tornado warning goes until 4:45. And we're getting pretty close to the radar site as well. And what we'd be looking for, so this is looking in the very lowest levels of the storm. So if there's a tornado threat, it would definitely be showing up here. And I'm just not seeing that anywhere close to the state line. What you would look for, basically along the radar beam, you look for a very significant area of green, which is toward the radar, red's going away. That would be over a small confined area. Just not seeing that here. You know, possible something spins up. Again, it would be extremely brief if that were to happen, and most likely would be there in areas of southern Middle Tennessee. So if you've been watching, and I'll take a look here, questions, try to answer some of those. But let me just give you a summary of what we've got going on. We've got this one little cluster of storms, this line coming on through. The most organized part of the line is here in southern Tennessee. You can see that, number one, the brighter colors taking up a lot more real estate, and also significant lightning starts right at the state line and goes northward. The storm is going to be capable of producing some strong wind gusts. That is the main threat. damaging winds, 50, 60, maybe 70 miles per hour as this comes on through. Mostly the worst part of this part of the line is going to go through Franklin County there, southern middle Tennessee. If you're right here towards the state line, near and north of High Top, and again running along the state line, just wait until the storm has passed, as it could produce some strong wind. But then you head south of High Top, and you're seeing the latest scan information coming through. The storm's not nearly as strong, the line isn't, so there's lesser likelihood of seeing any sort of severe weather. There is some heavy rain, there is quite a bit of lightning. We've had some lightning, particularly in this area from Athens back to the west. Some reports of some power outages around Rogersville. That may be due to the increased lightning threat along that part of the line. But again, what we have moving through the rest of North Alabama right now, it is not severe, not organized enough to produce severe weather. There's some rain, there may be some wind, 30 miles per hour, but probably nothing more than that at this point in time. All right, so we've got this little batch coming through right now, and then really the main reason for the severe thunderstorm watch, in some ways, yes, it was issued for this coming on through, but it primarily has been put out for this activity that you see getting organized back in Arkansas, from north of Memphis back towards Little Rock. Got another line of storms that has developed here. There are other showers and some thunderstorms back into northern Mississippi. So far, I've not seen any warnings on this activity. There has been a stronger thunderstorm. You see it there north of Jackson that had a severe thunderstorm warning. But so far, this activity is not particularly well organized. You do see some stronger storms south of Little Rock, kind of individual storms ahead of this organizing main line. But it is going to be the secondary main line that is expected to swing through western Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and then across northern Alabama as we head through the evening hours. And that may also bring with it a threat of seeing some severe weather swinging on through as well. But again, for the moment, what we've got that is a potential severe weather threat, primarily here in areas of southern middle Tennessee, where we have, there have been a couple little areas, brief spin that's developed. And, we see this all the time. Sometimes those areas of brief spin will put down a short-lived, generally weak type of tornado, just enough to do some damage, knock some trees down. Usually is not a big structural damage threat. But obviously, if you get a big tree that falls into your house, yeah, that's going to be a big deal. But typically, most of the damage is confined to tree damage with these sort of brief spin-ups, as opposed to major structural damage to a home or a building simply due to the wind. If they're damaged, it's because a tree has fallen on the structure, not necessarily because the wind was strong enough to do, peel off the roof, anything like that. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. We have to monitor these little notches. Again, in our immediate area, this is all pretty much just north of the state line in Franklin County, Tennessee. That is just outside of our coverage area, I think covered by the Chattanooga television market primarily. Right here along the state line. We're going to keep an eye on this. Nothing that I'm super concerned about at this point in time. But the strongest part of this line of storms does start near the border and extending there into areas of southern middle Tennessee. Let's see. Still tornado warning until 4:30 for northeastern Franklin County. And then there's a severe thunderstorm warning that includes northern parts of Jackson County. That goes until 4:45. And severe thunderstorm warning is basically kind of on top of the tornado warnings that we have going on here across areas of southern middle Tennessee. All right, I'm going to step away here. I don't have Facebook pulled up on that computer, so I'm going to walk over here and just see if I can answer some questions for you. Take a quick look here as well. Okay, not real concerning, looks interesting, but all right. And again, as I've been stressing, this is not a Tuesday weather setup. So we're not going to be looking at the same sort of tornado potential out of this. Let's see, just a quick look at the comments here. Not really seeing anything on my page. Let me go to the Way 31 page. Take a look at the comments here. Just a lot of people checking in. Jason in Newmarket saying pretty tired of this weather. I'm right there with you, Jason. All right. And so new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for basically the other part of this line. The possibility that we may see some strong wind develop with this. Again, this part of the line, though, is weaker. I mean, we're starting to hear some rain. Okay, they are going to issue a new tornado warning for Jackson and DeKalb, so we're going to go back on air for that. Again, this is going to be brief if something develops. Time will be on for a little bit longer, for a while. Again, back on for another tornado warning here on air. All right, good afternoon again, everyone. New tornado warning has been issued for areas now northern Jackson County. Does include northern areas of DeKalb County. Brief little spin-ups or a possibility along a line of storms tracking from Winchester, Franklin County, southern Middle Tennessee area back into Jackson County, Madison County as well. You may have also got the alert severe thunderstorm warning. I will say what's coming through Huntsville is significantly weaker and less organized than what is to the north, but perhaps we could also see some strong wind coming out of this through parts of Huntsville towards Woodville, Grant, maybe as far east as Fort Payne. Again, we're hearing some heavy rain coming over our head right now. But let's talk about the tornado warning and what that includes. And that covers far northern parts of Jackson County. Again, this warning just coming out. Also includes northern tip there of DeKalb County. Little area of spin that has developed here close to the radar site. This is where the National Weather Service radar is located in Jackson County in High Top. And again, where we're seeing the rotation showing up just outside of High Top. The green is toward the radar, the reds are away. Looks like we're getting another scan update here, so we'll wait and see what the data looks like coming on in. But brief area of spin developing here pretty close to the radar site. There you see the latest scan update coming around. Wait for it to wipe on this new data over here, and we'll see what this looks like. And I want to emphasize any sort of tornado activity in this sort of setup would be brief, but again, just outside of High Top, green is toward the radar, reds are away. If you are in northern parts of Jackson County, once you head to your tornado safe place, that's going to be lowest level of the building that you're in, and it's going to be as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Basically anywhere from Stevenson north is where I want you to be headed to your tornado safe place. This storm dropping just a little south of east. It's mostly moving east, but just a little bit of a jog to the south and to the east. And again, this is going to be the possibility of a brief spin up. Quick look here at the debris signature. Don't see anything coincident with where the rotation is. That would indicate something on the ground. So again, this would be something brief that touches down, may do a little bit of damage, not likely to be on the ground for an extended period of time. In addition, and I can't overstress the possibility that this may also produce some strong wind. You can kind of see here the leading edge of the storm here in the vicinity of High Top. It's also kind of bowed out a little bit, and that's an indication of some strong wind. And sometimes what happens when you get this, these bowing segments along the line, you can get a quick little spin that develops. It would be right in this notch. See the latest update coming around. Still have it there. So in this area just outside of High Top, if a tornado is going to develop, it is going to be just northeast of High Top, there in Jackson County. What I'm watching is this little notch right here. This is often a sign that something is trying to spin. Again, part of it's going to be due to some strong wind coming out south of where that notch is, and because of that surge of stronger wind, you can sometimes get a little bit brief area of spin that develops here. So this is now outside of High Top, moving away. It is tracking off to the east, southeast. So if you live here, we'll say along Alabama Highway 117, the Bass community, you see that, you're in the path. This is where this is going. This little notch, this little perhaps brief spin up that could form here as this storm tracks in that direction. Now we are looking pretty low down into the storm, not seeing anything that necessarily screams, yes, there's a tornado that's forming near the ground right now. But you do see the circulation showing up here, again, in the vicinity of where that notch is. We also are seeing the strong wind kind of pushing out in association with this storm. And again, if tornado is going to form, this is where it's going to happen. The reds are that strong wind blowing away, so there's going to be a couple hazards here. There could be some strong wind, maybe upwards of 60, perhaps 70 miles per hour. And again, the northern extent of that push of strong wind coming out is where we have just a little spin showing up and the possibility that we could pick up a brief tornado. And again, I'll emphasize brief. This is not something that would be on the ground for an extended period of time. In most cases, these are quick developing, may do a little bit of damage, and then they're typically gone. So that's kind of the weather setup that we are looking at in this situation. So we're monitoring that. Let me track it out for you. And we're going to track this whole area of potential strong wind, and again, the possibility for a potential tornado. This is going to be headed, again, through Stevenson. May or may not make it to northern DeKalb County. I know you are in the warning, but sometimes these are drawn out, and you see it kind of fans out as you get farther away, just to account for any sort of shifts in the storm motion. Bass, it's going to be right on top of you, 435. Stevenson, again, once you're in your tornado safe place, it'll be there 442. So about 10 minutes or so from now into Stevenson. And then at the Bridgeport area, right there on the state line, heading from Jackson County on into Tennessee, looks like it's time of arrival around 4:48. So a couple hazards here. We've got the tornado threat pretty much due west of Bass. And then extending from that, there is the possibility for some strong damaging wind that may come through as well. And that could lead to some trees down and some power outages. Let's see. And this warning goes currently until 5:15 for these areas in Jackson and DeKalb County. Again, I don't think we'll have the threat last that long, but it's possible what we'll see, because we have seen along this line, these areas of spin develop, they stick around for a bit, then they go away. And then somewhere else along the line, we get a new little area of spin, potential tornado activity that develops as well. So that is kind of what we are looking at with this thunderstorm moving on through. Again, these typically do not last long. They're generally on the weak side. But if you live in this area towards Bass, if it brings down a tree on your house, that's a problem. So again, if you're here in Bass, middle of the building that you're in, many walls between you and the outside as possible. We can talk about into your closet, into your bathroom, into your hallway. So that's where you need to be. Again, there's our rotation showing up. The red color, that's wind blowing away. That's also where we have the potential for some strong wind gusts. And again, northern extent of that is where we got a little spin. I will say the latest scan update, it doesn't look to be quite as significant as it was, but maybe a new little area trying to develop here to the south. You can see that southeast of High Top, off to the southwest of Bass. And a lot of times when you get these lines of storms come on through, this is what they do. They may bring a brief tornado, can do some localized damage, but damage nonetheless is a possibility with these storms as they move on through. So here's the wider view. We got this little line of storms. The northern part of the line is the most significant. All these little white symbols, those are your lightning strikes. So very electrical here along the state line, points northward. You trail back to the west and the southwest through Huntsville. Again, I'm hearing rain here, but I'm really not even hearing any thunder. Technically, yes, severe thunderstorm warning is out for Huntsville, Gurley, down towards the Owens Crossroads, New Hope area. Scottsboro, you're included. Near Grant, included in that severe thunderstorm warning. And that severe thunderstorm warning goes all the way through DeKalb County to east of Fort Payne. But again, the southern part of the line, less concerned that there's going to be a severe weather threat out of that. All of North Alabama, and that watch does extend to our west as well to account for that incoming line of storms. So again, this goes until 11 o'clock tonight. And some of you are not included here. Giles, Lawrence, Wayne County, southern middle Tennessee, Marion, Winston County in northwest Alabama are not included in that current watch. It's possible, depending on that line of storms to the west, that you may be added at some point in time before the evening is out to the existing watch that is in effect for the remainder of the area. So just be aware of that, even if you're not in a watch. Haleyville, Lawrenceburg, Pulaski, Tennessee, doesn't mean that you're not going to see some strong storm activity. You're just going to have to wait until that next wave comes in this evening. And for areas of northeast Alabama, that this is going to pull out as Let's see here. Those are the only updates. We also continue with the severe thunderstorm warning until 5:30 for areas of Marshall, Jackson, Madison County, southeast Madison County, DeKalb, and southeastern Franklin counties. So again, that is for this area that's now cleared Huntsville. So if you're in Huntsville, the strongest storm part of this line has kind of come and gone. Again, it's now heading into southeast Madison County, western and southwestern Jackson County, Paint Rock, Woodville area to just outside of Scottsboro. Again, possibly for some strong wind. I think the likelihood of a severe wind gust is a little bit lower. This part of this line is a bit more ragged, not quite as organized as what we have here to the north. Greater risk of severe weather and potential for maybe a brief tornado spin up if you are in northeastern Jackson County and extreme northern parts of DeKalb County north of Ider as we head through the next 30 to 45 minutes or so until that part of the line clears on into Georgia. Let's get you back up here. Again, what we are seeing here and why the leading edge of this line of storms looks like this. Notice it's bowed out like a bow and an arrow. The bow of a bow and an arrow is what this looks like. This approaching Stevenson. The reason it looks like this is on the backside of this storm, there is very strong wind, and it is kind of pushing out the rain pattern. That's why it looks that way. In the northern part of where this happens, you can sometimes get some spin. So we do have that back off to the northwest Stevenson. So again, a couple hazards here coming into Stevenson. It's going to be the potential for 60, maybe 70 mile per hour wind. And again, north side of that, there's going to be that possibility for a tornado. So if you're in Stevenson, I do want you in your tornado safe place. We are still seeing a signature here of some rotation as a result, again, of that surge of wind coming on out. Right now, that's most concentrated here in Jackson County, just northwest of Stevenson. Stevenson, I need you in your shelter if you're not there. This is where County Road 53 and Alabama Highway 117 meet up northwest of Stevenson. This is where we are seeing the tightest area rotation in association with this thunderstorm. And again, the possibility, there you saw the latest scan update, right over Stevenson right now is where it is shifted. Again, the possibility there could be maybe a brief tornado produced here. Let me back this up. This is looking at the debris tracker. Just don't see anything. And this could also be, you do see kind of this moving in from the west. This could also be due to, again, some of that strong wind pushing on in. But again, possibility of a tornado. The circulation is right over Stevenson right now. This would tend to be a weak circulation if something touches down, but that can still do damage, can knock down some trees onto your home, can knock power out as well. And again, that area rotation now right over Stevenson and is going to continue to advance east towards Highway 72. If you know someone traveling here out of Bridgeport or maybe coming out of the Scottsboro, Hollywood area there, Jackson County on 72, might just want to give them a heads up. Hey, it's a rough storm moving on through, might produce some strong wind, and there is the possibility near Stevenson that'll be crossing 72 of perhaps a brief spin-up tornado. So they might just want to hold up before they get caught in all of this mess moving on through. Got to expand the view. We're going to track all this out. And I'm going to track the entire line, so this is going to include the possibility of some strong wind and the possibility of perhaps a brief tornado spin-up along this line. Again, this is coming across 72 right now in Stevenson and points off to the south and west. Old Fabius community, 450. The Sulphur Springs community, you see it here on Highway 117. This will all be coming in around 4:53 in the next 6 minutes or so. North Sand Mountain High School coming in around 4:59, right around the top of the hour. That includes you folks in Higdon as well. So again, the possibility we've got some strong wind, upwards of 60, 70 miles per hour, and maybe a quick little tornado spin up here. Let's see, with new circulation near Hollywood. So there's a new tornado warning that has come out for the Hollywood area in Jackson County. So let's take a look at that. It's now past Hollywood. It maybe is a little bit closer here to Martintown. Again, this is right on 72, so there's Hollywood. And so what we're seeing here, the green's blowing back towards the radar, reds are away, so a little bit of circulation showing up here around Martintown, right on 72. Again, quick spin-ups. That's what we are potentially looking at here. Quick spin-ups. So now we'll say if you are outside of Scottsboro, headed towards Hollywood, Hollywood to Stevenson to Bridgeport along 72, points eastward, just go ahead and head to your shelter, your tornado safe place. If we don't get a spin-up tornado, we're still looking at a high likelihood of some winds that may be 50, 60 miles per hour or a little bit stronger than that coming on through. So don't necessarily focus on the tornado warning. There you see the latest where it's drawn out. It does include you in Scottsboro. But again, the circulation that was noted was near Hollywood, just northeast of town. But again, I think what the Weather Service is doing, they're just drawing these broad warning areas out for the possibility of a brief spin up that could develop along the line. I call these blanket tornado warnings that sometimes they're issued for something specific. Sometimes they're issued maybe initially for something specific, but drawn over a much larger area in this sort of weather setup, simply because new areas of circulation could develop. So don't necessarily want you to get caught up on you've got a tornado bearing down on you, but just the possibility that one could spin up out of this sort of weather situation. And again, the potential that there's some damaging wind. And I think a lot of you, you're more likely to experience some strong wind, 60 miles per hour, perhaps a little bit higher than you are to experience a tornado. It's not going to matter a whole lot. And these tornadoes, if anything spins up, they're going to be brief, they're going to be extremely small, and they're not likely going to last for a long period of time. But still want you in your safe place, basically middle of the building that you're in. Again, get to that hallway, get to that interior closet or interior bathroom. That should give you ample protection in the event you either A, get some strong wind coming through, or B, there's a brief tornado spin up in your location. So let's take another look here. So basically anywhere along this wind shift, and you can see it, the green and the red colors indicate the wind shift. The reds are the wind blowing away from the radar. Greens are still coming towards. Anywhere along the wind shift here, now east of Scottsboro, going across the river and going up the mountain towards Section. That's where this is headed next. Anywhere along the wind shift here, extending now east of Stevenson, tracking towards Pisgah, tracking towards the Eider area, Henniger as well. Eastern Jackson County now east of 72. Anywhere along this wind shift, there could be a brief area of spin that develops. Otherwise, the wind shift itself could produce some strong wind gust as it is coming on through. Let me show you the radar view again, what you're used to seeing, which is the rainfall. And we're going to track all this basically to the Georgia border. I think this is drawn a little bit south of east. Probably we're going to see most of this, at least in general, where the tornado threat is right now, may stay north of you folks in Fort Payne. But we're going to keep an eye on it for you and, of course, let you know if that changes. But again, anywhere along the leading edge of this line of storms coming through, there's going to be that possibility for a quick spin up. Dutton coming up in the next 7 minutes for you. If you are in Henniger, 5:07, time of arrival for you. If you're in the Trenton area, 6:05. If you are in Kensington, 6:17, actually that would be Trenton, Georgia, I believe. not there in Jackson County. So this is northern part of this line. It is going to be going into northwest Georgia here pretty soon. And then the southern extent of the line may linger a little bit longer into northern parts of DeKalb County. So again, Dutton to Henniger to Ider, probably the tornado threat. I know the sirens are probably going off in Fort Payne, but where we are tracking areas of rotation, and it does look like a new severe thunderstorm warning issued. Where we're tracking the areas of rotation, at least at the moment, may stay north of you folks in the Fort Payne area, even though technically you are part of the tornado warning. It does look like a new severe thunderstorm warning has been drawn out as well. Again, those are your two hazards. Strong thunderstorm winds, 50, 60, maybe 70 miles per hour in some cases. And in association with that, there could be quick little spin-ups that develop as well. So you see the severe thunderstorm warning area, Huntsville's been dropped out of it. Got some thunder and lightning back here towards Decatur, down towards Hartselle, Falkville area. Nothing that is severe warned out of that at the moment. Gunnersville, you're just outside of the severe thunderstorm warning, but basically along this leading edge of rain and thunderstorm activity from southeast to Huntsville, heading into New Hope, and extending through Jackson County and points off to the east and southeast. Possibility for some strong damaging wind. And again, maybe a brief spin-up tornado threat. So let's track all this off to the south and to the east. So for you folks in Fort Payne, even though where we have seen some areas of spin right now, probably will stay north of you, the line of thunderstorm activity, if it continues to hold together, will reach you folks in Fort Payne. Looks like about 25 minutes or so from now, a little bit longer than that. Sandrock 545, Henniger, Powell area 504, 507 for that. Rainsville around 513. So again, damaging wind perhaps. That'll be the more likely threat. Tornado threat, I think a little bit lesser of a threat, but there could be some very localized spots where something quick could spin up. So let's see here. Just checking the newest information here. Seeing some pictures around Winchester, Tennessee of some trees down on power lines, so definitely some strong wind came through there. Let's see here. So this is talking about this area and this little cluster of storms, about the threat for some continued severe weather. Damaging wind threat may spread east-southeastward into this evening. Again, this will be headed away from us. But we do have this intense little small line of storms moving across northern Alabama right now. It has produced some tree damage, southern Middle Tennessee. Damaging wind gusts remain a possibility out of this. And then they're also noting about these small little areas of spin. Possibility of a brief tornado out of those and a little bit more concentrated wind damage threat. Again, wherever those areas of spin develop along the line. Let's focus in a little closer here. And I'm going to take a look and see if we're seeing more of those areas of spin anywhere along the line. Could be a couple spots, maybe a little bit here southeast of Stevenson. Just a little area where we've got the greens blowing towards the radar, reds are away. Could be a little spin here, maybe a little spin as well off to the northwest of Henniger. Again, nothing that looks particularly alarming. And then we've got the debris tracker here. Don't see anything that's particularly jumping out, but let me look a little closer here southeast of Stevenson. There you saw the latest scan update. Now, maybe right here, there might be perhaps a little bit of a debris signature. Again, this is going to be southeast of Stevenson, approaching Highway 71, Alabama 71, northeast of Sulphur Springs. You do see that, let me circle this area that I'm looking at. Small area concentrated spin right here. All right, and then we take a look at the debris tracker. You just saw the latest update there. But there might have been, right here, that was kind of coincident. So there might have been something brief that touched down there, or at least the very more concentrated area, high wind, maybe a brief tornado. We may have had that there. Again, this would be off to the east and southeast of Stevenson. You see some of the smaller communities here. Here's Higdon, so this is very close to Higdon. So if you're in Higdon, I want you to be, if you're not already in your shelter, I know I've called out your town name on the track, but you certainly need to be headed there. Again, we're seeing just a little notch here where the rain kind of surges out. You get this, what we call a notch in the line that can be indicative of some spin. Again, this is in the vicinity of Alabama 71, just outside of Higdon. So if you're in Higdon, need you in your tornado safe place for, again, maybe we may have had a brief little tornado spin up there. And then in addition, where you see the precip kind of surged out here, it looks like the bow of a bow and arrow. Again, this is southeast of Stevenson, a little northeast of Hollywood, a little northeast of Pisgah. This is also where we may have some very strong winds. So this is, again, the tornado warned, one tornado warning with this part of this line of storms moving through Jackson County. And again, you saw the latest update. It's really moving more east. So two hazards here. Strong winds, 60 miles per hour, again, heading into Higdon, and then also the possibility there may be embedded within that a quick little tornado spin up as this is continuing to approach the Georgia border. Now, officially, we still have a tornado warning that does include you folks in Fort Payne. That is for this segment of the line that's now out of Scottsboro. So Scottsboro, if the sirens went off, you sought shelter, the potential that we would see a tornado has passed Scottsboro. It's now here basically approaching Henniger, approaching Powell, possibility for some strong wind. Let me take a quick look here if I'm no real areas of significant spin that I'm seeing. Maybe a little concentrated area just outside of Rosalie, northwest of Henniger. That could be a spot where perhaps a quick little spin up could develop. So again, if you're here in Henniger to Rosalie, to Townsend, to Eider, if you haven't sought shelter yet from this storm, I want you to go ahead and do that. Possibility for a tornado, and even if you don't see that, you're likely to pick up some very strong wind coming through. So I want you to head to your tornado safe place in those portions of Jackson and on into DeKalb counties. Again, this is the most significant part of this line, basically where the tornado warnings are. Damaging wind is at a heightened threat, and the possibility for a brief tornado spin up as well. Beyond that, yes, we do have severe thunderstorm warnings extending back here towards Langston, southeast Madison County, northern Marshall County, and areas off to the southwest of Fort Payne. There is a severe thunderstorm warning, but you do note here from Scottsboro back to the west, the line is not nearly as well organized, not nearly as robust, but still may produce some gusty wind as it comes on through. Our greater threat, though, for seeing strong wind gusts and perhaps a brief spin-up tornado is now basically approaching the DeKalb County line from Jackson County. So again, north of Fort Payne, based on the motion on this, even this tail end back towards Scottsboro, probably going to miss you if you're in Fort Payne, if it does continue on this track. But again, there could be some strong wind that potentially could kind of brush by, especially if you're just north of Fort Payne there along Interstate 59 in that part of DeKalb County. So let's track this out again. And like I said, once this is, and you saw the update there on the tornado warning for the northern part of Jackson County, but let's track all this out for you. Again, I think this is moving mostly east, maybe a very small jog to the south. Northern extent of the line is going to be headed onto Georgia here shortly, but we still got a ways to go if you're in northern parts of DeKalb County. Eider, it's bearing down on you in the next few minutes. Henniger about 5:06. Into the Hammondville area around 5:18, so Hammondville to Valley Head up to Mentone. Once you're in your tornado safe place for, again, the possibility of a brief spin up at worst, and at very minimum, probably some strong wind 50, 60 miles per hour out of these storms coming on through these parts of Jackson and DeKalb counties in northeastern Alabama. Let me expand the view just to check on some other parts of North Alabama. Nothing real concerning elsewhere. Again, the most significant storm activity is east of Scottsboro towards Bridgeport, and all that's going to continue to slide east on into Georgia. The trailing part of what's left of this line, no worries. Morgan County, you got some rain. Again, Falkville, Lake-Con area, getting ready to head into Coleman County. A few showers, Bankhead National Forest, that's it, south of Moulton. Does look like we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that, actually a couple now that are issued here back into northern Mississippi. So we're going to have to keep an eye on these around Tupelo. These are also mostly going to the east, so if you are in southwestern, southern Franklin County, and northern parts of Marion County, these are going to be tracking in your general direction. Let me just get a quick look on these, and then I'm going to get you back there into the northeast corner of the state with the latest information on our severe warned and tornado warned storms there. These are a little more isolated cells that are back here towards Fulton, Mississippi, back off to the north of Tupelo. Get a couple severe thunderstorm warnings out of these. These may have a slightly better chance of producing maybe some hail. Looks like we do have a couple hail cores near Fulton, Mississippi, back to the northwest of Tupelo. Maybe some dime, nickel, penny-sized hail, perhaps approaching quarters. And again, as these continue to build and slide mostly east, if you are near and south of Red Bay, southern Franklin County, these are going to be traveling in your direction. Quick look here if there's any sort of substantial rotation in these storms. Right now, not necessarily seeing it. Maybe some broad rotation in the vicinity of Fulton, Mississippi on that lead storm. So we're going to keep an eye on that for you folks. Again, heading into parts of northwest Alabama, primarily Franklin County. These are going to be headed your direction. Again, as far as what's in North Alabama right now that's of most significance is basically right here now on the Jackson DeKalb County line from Powell to Henniker to Eider. This is where we have tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm potential with the possibility for damaging wind, maybe a brief spin-up type of tornado. Just looking at the wind velocities here, nothing that super alarming, maybe a little bit concentrated area of spin there close to Henniker. And that's really all I'm seeing right now that is jumping out at me at the moment, and even that is fairly subtle. But as we've been talking about, quick spin-ups, that's what these are. If anything forms, it's going to be a quick spin-up. It is not something that's going to last for a long period of time. Seeing some pictures out of Eider, looking back towards Pisgah, some dark clouds. There is a report here near Cartersville, north of Eider, of a wall cloud. That's one report there. Just seeing some other photos here that have come on in. In Jackson County, some tree debris on the roads, Highway 35 near the four-way intersection with Highway 79 in Scottsboro. So if you're in Scottsboro, Highway 35, Highway 79 vicinity, some reports of some tree debris. The worst part of the storm has passed you in Scottsboro, but just be aware of that if you're going to be out on the roads here shortly, as that is some tree debris being reported on the roads. This may be the same thing. 7,000 Highway 35 in Scottsboro, tree down across the road blocking the right lane. So some reports of some trees down again in the Scottsboro area. Severe thunderstorm warning is canceled for Madison County. The storm has kind of pulled away from there, and again, that really the southern flank of this line is not, in my opinion, particularly impressive. But Madison County has been cleared from the severe thunderstorm warning. You're still included here at Langston to Fife, a little east now, it looks like Grant. And again, what we have back here towards Gurley, Paint Rock, Woodville area. Again, I'm not real impressed with this area from Langston, back to the southeast of Gurley. Technically, though, severe thunderstorm warning does continue. Most significant part of this line of storms is what is now moving into Henniger, heading through Eider as we speak. And probably, like I said, I mean, tornado warning, yes, for Fort Payne. Maybe still hearing the sirens there. But as far as the most significant part of this line of storms, it's mostly moving east, so I think that's going to stay a little north of you folks in Fort Payne. You will end up with some rainfall and maybe a little gusty wind, but right now I'm kind of expecting the greater severe weather threat may remain just to your north, as this part of the line is really moving more east than it is southeast. It would have to take a pretty hard turn to the right in order for this to end up in Fort Payne. So basically from Powell, we'll say, to Hammondville, Valley Head, Mentone, tracking in that direction. Fort Payne, not so much. Again, everything's right on top of you in Henniger, so I want you to stay in your shelter for the time being there if you are in Henniger. Quick look here, looking at the wind velocity along this line. Extreme northern DeKalb County, this is all bearing down on you. Again, where there's the wind shift, which is the red is wind blowing away from the radar, the green is wind still relatively speaking blowing towards the radar. Right along the wind shift is where we occasionally get these little places where there can be a little spin. We mentioned Henniger a moment ago, and we're still seeing that in between Henniger and Townsend Crossroads, and even north of Townsend Crossroads. Again, very, very subtle. These are not typically long-lasting or necessarily significant types of spin-ups. Debris tracker, a little hard to say if there's anything coincident with those couple areas, indicative of maybe a brief touchdown. Again, won't rule it out, but these sort of tornadoes generally are not your more significant ones. But obviously, if they knock a tree down on your house, that's going to be a problem for you. So again, you're right in the thick of it right now from Eider to Henniger, Sylvania. Things are about to get a little bit worse. If you're down to Rainsville, again, it's going to be a close call. We've got the heaviest part of this storm heading out of section right now. But again, coming mostly east. So north of Rainsville, yes, you're going to get in on some of this, some strong winds, some heavy rainfall. But south of Rainsville probably will stay mostly just to your north. But again, from Sylvania now to Valley Head, Hammondville, Mentone area, if you're not in your shelter, which in this case, middle of the building that you're in should be fine. Lowest level though, you want to do that. Interior bathroom, interior closet, interior hallway. Those are the places that you want to head for, at the very least, some strong wind that will accompany these storms. And worst case scenario, maybe a small, concentrated, brief, spin-up type of tornado that could move through. Tornado warning for northeast Jackson County canceled. So basically, the tornado warning, let's see, is for DeKalb County. I'm mentioning something else for the northern tornado warning. It's expiring at 5:15. I don't know if that'll be necessary for Jackson County or not, since it's pretty much out of there right now, or at least where there would be any sort of tornado threat. So as it stands right now, tornado threat does continue if you are in northern DeKalb County. Again, I'm expecting this will stay north of you folks in Fort Payne, even though you are technically still under that warning. But where this line is tracking, it's primarily east, so that's going to keep the heaviest part of it, the potential severe part of it, just a little north of you folks in Fort Payne. You got a little rainfall there, but that's it. And again, the end of this line going back towards Langston, just not very impressed with that. So primarily northern DeKalb County, you head north out of Fort Payne. This is where the severe weather threat remains maximized in our area. Quick look back here for you folks in Franklin County. Again, a couple severe thunderstorm warned areas north of Tupelo, near Fulton, Mississippi. Possibly some hail with these, maybe some gusty wind as well. These are not particularly packing too much of a punch, but let me track the storm near Fulton. If it continues to basically come east, that will bring it right along the Franklin-Marion County line. Hackleburg would be in line for this. If you're in Red Bay, the storm's probably going to stay just south of you. And we'll see if severe thunderstorm warnings are extended into northwestern Alabama from these storms. Hodges area around 5:35. Again, Hackleburg, this would be coming in around 5:41, so approximately 25, 30 minutes out from any of this activity in Mississippi coming on in to that northwestern corner of the state. So we're going to keep an eye on that for you folks there. Again, Franklin County, Marion, Winston County. Again, our most significant severe weather potential does continue here in northern parts of DeKalb County primarily. Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning issued that includes DeKalb, Jackson County as well. That's going to be in effect basically until this storm clears on into Georgia. This is our tornado-warned storm, again, bearing down on I-59 in the northern part of DeKalb County. Again, they're going to be approaching you folks towards Mentone. Need you in your shelter there. Tornado warning does extend back towards Rainsville, although the extent of this line kind of fizzles back in that direction, but may still have some strong winds. So if you're in Rainsville, just stay sheltered. If you've taken shelter, stay there until some of this heavier rain has come on through. Again, Fort Payne, just based on the motion of this, I think the worst part of this storm is still going to miss you to the north, but it is going to be going across Interstate 59 here north of Fort Payne. So as I say, if you know someone traveling the interstate, between Fort Payne and Chattanooga, you know, traveling out of Fort Payne, just give them a heads up, hey, there's a pretty heavy storm north of town that may produce some damaging wind and could also spin up a brief tornado. Hold up until this storm has passed. There you see the latest scan update. Again, worst part is probably going to stay just a little north of you folks in Fort Payne. Quick look here at the wind velocity. Not seeing anything that's jumping out at me too much that says we have any sort of substantial spin along the wind shift, but that remains a possibility. So again, Valley Head, Hammondville area to Mentone. I want you to stay sheltered until the worst part of the storm has passed. We take you north of Fort Payne. There's the latest scan update. Again, it's going to be very subtle. This is not going to be long-lived tornado activity that's going to cover a lot of real estate. It's going to be a quick, brief spin-up, may not stay on the ground very long, and then it's going to be gone. And again, possibility for that, really not even seeing any sort of rotational areas, even the potential for that near Rainsville, but just northeast. So starting east, northeast of Rainsville, again, extending towards Valley Head and the Georgia border here in northern parts of DeKalb County. This is where we still have that potential for maybe something to spin up. Again, Fort Payne, I think most of this is probably going to miss you to the north. So yes, tornado warning officially does include you in Fort Payne, but kind of unofficially, in my opinion, I don't think that you have much of a threat there, as that threat's probably going to pass to your north. Again, very intense storms continue here, northern parts of DeKalb County, with this thunderstorm continuing to track on through. Tornado threat for the northern part of the line has moved into Georgia. So yes, so they didn't reissue. Seeing a picture out of Henniger, maybe a little bit of lowering. It's hard to tell. What I'm seeing of this picture is trees are in the way, so it's a little bit difficult. Severe thunderstorm warning goes until 5:45. That does include Fort Payne and Rainsville. So still the possibility for some strong wind that may come through those areas down to Fort Payne. And again, technically still, excuse me, part of a tornado warning in that area, DeKalb County as well. Excuse me. do a quick check here, my email. Some folks have sent in some things. Let's see here. Some reports just of the heavy rainfall. And again, if you can safely send us pictures or information, that helps us, gives us an idea of what's happening. Those reports are invaluable in these sort of situations. Primarily, we've just gotten some reports of some trees down in a few areas, particularly back into Scottsboro. Some reports of some trees down when the storms earlier were in southern Middle Tennessee, Lincoln on into Franklin County. Again, some reports of some trees down there and some power outages as well. So again, storms are packing a punch, to say the least. All right, let's kind of track this out. Northern part of the line of storms is now into Georgia, northeast Valley Head, but Valley Head, this is still coming on through the Mentone, Hammondville area. The threat is maximized here north of Fort Payne, near and north of Wills Valley, Fisher Crossroads, near and north of there. So again, up here towards Mentone, 518, basically about on top of you right now in Mentone, where this is starting to come on through. And then extending from there towards Valley Head, towards the Hammondville area. And again, just looking at spots north of Fort Payne, that's primarily where the threat is going to remain. Let me kind of reset the view here, show you the bigger picture. Again, this is pretty well it in North Alabama. Huntsville, yes, we had some rain. Most of that's cleared out. There's going to be a bit of a break for a lot of us through this evening. We got just some rain, maybe an occasional rumble of thunder in eastern Morgan County. Again, watching some storms back in northeast Mississippi might impact you folks in Franklin County. Otherwise, we're just holding on here in DeKalb County, waiting for this line to completely cross on into Georgia. And then there is going to be a little bit of a gap out there, although, again, we will have to keep an eye on storms back here in Mississippi. Again, a couple of those have severe thunderstorm warnings associated with them. You can see those near Tupelo and east. Looks like another severe thunderstorm here close to Batesville, Mississippi. Most of these tracking east, not necessarily a big tornado threat. And really, we're not set up for that, particularly with the individual storms. You often hear us talk about individual discrete cells. Those have the greater tornado threat. Actually, in this sort of setup, the greater tornado threat is going to be along the lines of storms that are coming on through. And even that, fairly limited risk. And again, if anything develops, it's going to be those brief spin-ups. But here's our line kind of taking shape here. Doesn't look like we have severe thunderstorm warnings in the Memphis area, but south of Little Rock, some stronger storm activity there. So we're going to watch these storms in northeast Mississippi. This is going to be the line, another line that is going to come in across northern Alabama through the evening hours. So let me do, in addition to some of these more isolated storms that may come into northwest Alabama here over the next few hours, this will be the primary line that moves through this evening. And just give you approximate time of arrival. This is going to be coming through. Florence, you're likely going to see this line probably around 8 o'clock. Right now it's 5:21. The Huntsville area, this second line back towards Memphis, not arriving until around 9 o'clock or so this evening. And again, there will be a continued threat for strong wind. That'll be the primary concern. But maybe some more of these brief type of spin-up tornadoes could develop along the line. A lot of that will depend on really how well organized the line is as it's moving on through. And that's just something that, we don't know for sure what sort of shape the line will be in as it arrives in our area. But that threat of severe weather is going to continue. Again, DeKalb County, this is where we're at most risk of still seeing some severe weather right now. Again, anywhere along the leading edge here, which is now past you in Valley Head, but going into Mentone. And extending back here towards Rainsville, although again, the tail end kind of breaks up. But I'd say north of Fort Payne still, along this leading edge, Valley Head and eastward to Mentone, still the possibility that something tornado-wise could form here. I will say the leading edge of this line is not quite as significant, still more significant the northern part of the line, but again, that is on into Georgia right now. Just a couple spots here near Wills Valley, maybe. Back along Highway 35 north of Pine Ridge, maybe a spot where there might be a brief spin up. Nothing that is particularly alarming to me that I'm seeing. Some more reports coming in here. This is in Franklin County, Tennessee. A report of a tree on a house there, some minor injuries. So again, that was the northern part of the line that came across that part of southern middle Tennessee. So getting some reports that there was some damage there as well. But thus far, only reports I've been hearing out of Alabama have been in the Scottsboro area. And still a little notch here south of Valley Head. Doesn't really correspond, though, to anything rotation-wise. So that's good to see. Again, the tornado warning, yes, includes you in Fort Payne, but the most likely spot, if we get another possibility of a brief spin-up, is probably going to stay north of Fort Payne. Again, this part of the line, northern DeKalb County, fairly ragged. Not even a whole lot of lightning. You just see one lightning strike there. It looks like maybe only a handful of lightning strikes here in the last 30 minutes with this part of the line. So certainly it is not as intense as it was. Really where the line is most defined, most organized, northwest Georgia. So the tail end of it here, north of Fort Payne, not quite as intense as the northern extent of the line that is on into northwestern Georgia. But with that said, tornado warning still continues. For DeKalb County, we'll see if it's extended beyond 5:30. There are, taking a look here, parts of Jackson County, quite a few power outages. Looks like in the vicinity of Stevenson, which is where I'm pretty sure we had some strong wind and maybe a brief tornado spin up. So in Jackson County, outages are kind of concentrated around Stevenson, where we have a loss of power in those areas. And the tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire at 5:30. So they are not, National Weather Service is not going to issue another tornado warning on this storm. They are going to allow it to expire. Again, the southwestern part of this line, north of Fort Payne, not as well organized as the extent of the line on in northwest Georgia. So our tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire here in DeKalb County. The better tornado threat has shifted on into northwest Georgia. Yes, so Weather Service is seeing the same thing that I am. Let's do one more look here, kind of reset the view. So the tornado threat, at least for now, has ended or is in the process of ending there in DeKalb County. Again, the tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire and not be reissued. There are a couple severe warned storms back here towards Tupelo. Might clip you far southern parts of Franklin County, south of Red Bay, a little closer to the Hodges, Vina area in that corner of Franklin County. Main threat for these storms back towards Tupelo, twofold: some hail, perhaps up to quarter size, and also some strong wind gusts. Not really seeing a tornado threat out of these more isolated storms. I know that's not the norm, but in this sort of weather setup, it's the most likely scenario that we would not see those pose a tornado threat. And again, watching the line of storms. Memphis is right in the thick of it, extending back towards Little Rock. This line will continue to build east and southeast, and probably entering the Shoals area in the vicinity of 8 o'clock or so. And there will be a continued threat for perhaps seeing some severe weather out of this activity as it moves on in. Officially, there is a severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 11 o'clock tonight, basically all of far northern Alabama. Damaging wind, the primary threat with that second line coming through, but we'll have to keep an eye on the leading edge, just like we did with this cluster of storms now exiting into northwest Georgia for any brief spin-ups. With that in mind, we're going to go ahead and go back to regular programming. And again, the tornado warning, let me just double check that nothing's changed, but the tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire at 5:30. And we're not expecting, at least here short term, an immediate tornado threat, but we will watch that line coming at us out of Memphis heading into the evening hours. For now, though, we're going to go and send it back to regular programming. I'm not going anywhere. Still going to be monitoring the storms as they come through this evening and on into the early part of tonight.
This has been a 31 Alert Day weather update. We now return to your regular programming.
The world responds. Any car that doesn't offer that sense of control is a car that stops short of amazing.